Why do elders say you must never travel without prayer, especially this month? Have you ever wondered why some journeys, no matter how well planned, take a turn that no one expects? This is not just a warning passed down by the elders of Ukota village, it is a lesson paid for in fear, in whispers, and in the footsteps of those who did not listen. The students of Ukota Academy were eager, laughing, and full of excitement as they set off on their annual excursion to Etoro Falls. It was supposed to be a simple journey, a time of adventure. But deep inside Irumu Forest, where the trees whisper and the wind carries old secrets, the road did something it had never done before. It shifted. It stretched. It led them to someone, or something, waiting. In the heart of Ukota village, a place where the old and the new walk side by side, life was full of stories. The villagers were known for their wisdom, their belief in tradition, and their respect for the spirits of the land. Chief Dada, the village elder, carried years of knowledge in his eyes. Mama F, the herbalist, spoke less but knew more than most. And then, there were the students, young, eager minds who believed the world was too big for old rules. Every year, the students of Ukota Academy went on an excursion, a journey beyond their village to learn, to see the world, to prove their knowledge. This year, the trip was to Etoro Falls, the place of great beauty and mystery. The elders whispered that the journey through Irumu Forest was not for careless feet. But the students, full of excitement, did not listen. Among them was Kofi, a bright but stubborn boy, always questioning, always doubting. "Why must we pray before we travel?" he asked his friend Ade, as they packed their bags. Ade shrugged. "The elders say the road must recognize you." Kofi laughed. "The road is just dust and stones. What does it care?" The next morning, as the students set off in a white bus, Chief Dada stood by the village gate. He raised his hand, calling for silence. "A journey is not just about where you go, but how you go," he said. "Pray before you leave, so the road knows your name." Most students bowed their heads. Some whispered prayers, others just muttered under their breath. But Kofi did not. He only smiled, impatient to begin. The journey was lively at first. Laughter, songs, the sound of footsteps on familiar paths. The deeper they went, the taller the trees became, the quieter the birds sang. The road twisted and the air thickened. Then, it happened. A sudden wind howled through the trees, carrying whispers that did not belong to the students. The clear road became unfamiliar. Paths stretched where they shouldn't. The trees, standing tall, seemed to lean closer. The driver pressed the brakes. The bus came to a slow stop. Kofi felt his heart quicken. He turned to Ade. "Which way is the falls?" Ade pointed ahead. But, was that tree always there? Something was wrong. A figure stepped onto the path, an old woman, bent with age but standing with purpose. In her hands, a calabash filled with water that shimmered strangely. "You did not greet the road," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes held something deep. The students froze. The teachers, too. "We meant no harm," one of them said. The woman nodded. "Yet, the road does not know you." A chill passed through Kofi. He reached into his pocket and found a cowrie shell. His mother's. He had forgotten she placed it there. The woman stretched out her own hand, revealing another shell. Identical. "You carry half the blessing," she said. "But a blessing is only whole when it is spoken." Kofi, for the first time in his life, prayed. A small, uncertain whisper. And then, the wind stopped. The air became clear. The road stretched out, no longer twisted. The trees stood where they should. The falls, distant but visible, lay ahead. The bus engine rumbled back to life, as if it had been waiting. Kofi turned to thank the woman, but she was gone. That night, as the students sat by the fire, no one laughed about prayers. They listened as the teacher spoke of the roads that belong to more than men. The fire crackled softly that night, its glow reflecting in the wide eyes of the students. No one spoke for a long time. Even those who once laughed at tradition sat quietly, their minds heavy with the weight of the day's events. The teachers, too, exchanged silent glances, understanding now what the elders had always known. Perhaps some roads do not merely exist for men to walk upon, perhaps they choose who walks them safely. Kofi sat apart from the others, staring into the flames. He had always thought himself practical, logical. But that day, when the wind whispered, when the trees moved, when the road itself seemed to shift beneath their feet, he had felt it, something watching, waiting. And the woman, was she truly just an old traveler, or was she something else entirely? As the embers flickered, Kofi tightened his grip on the cowrie shell in his palm. He had no answers. But one thing was certain, never again would he leave on a journey without prayer. From that day, Kofi never traveled without prayer. And now, I ask you, what do you think really happened on that road? Was it the wind, the spirit, or something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'll be reading.